All right, guys, welcome back to another Master and Apprentice video. As you guys can see, we've got the next Marvel Lego module set. Now, this is, if I'm not mistaken, the first one to come out of this series. It's not retiring this year, at the end of this year. It's actually pretty hard to find. Most retail stores are already out of stock on this, so if you want to grab it, I would scour to find it now before it's upselled like crazy on eBay. But with that being said, this set, when it retailed, was retailing for $350. It's got a piece count of 3,772 pieces. It's set 76178, the Daily Bugle. Now, this isn't necessarily off of any source. Even on the box, it says assembled from the Spider-Man universe. So it's just the Spider-Man mythos, different villains, comics, material it's pulling from, which I always like when Lego does that because they just give us more, I think, creative freedom. We'll see with this set, even with like the minifigures and the build itself, it's very creative and just in general, I think, pretty cool. As you can see in the box, it's just the classic 18+ black box art, and then it's just showcasing the front of the Daily Bugle with all the minifigures out. In total, this has 25 minifigures. I don't think you can see all of them from the front here, but of course we'll show all of those off in the video. For the back of the box art, it shows the dimensions. It is quite a big build. In total, it's 32 inches tall if you include the antenna piece on top. If you take that off, it's probably closer to like 28 inches. But that being said, it's a beast of a build. It shows the different module parts of the set. It's about 4 stories in total. We'll show that off when we get there. It's just showing off the different rooms and play accessibilities and accessories on the right here. Again, kind of what you'd expect for something like this with this 18+ box art. All right, I'm gonna do this in a little bit of a different way because the last time we had a big modular Marvel set like this, it took us 30 minutes to go over all the minifigures, and I don't want to do that. So I put together, for lack of a better word, the civilians of the set. A lot of these characters are not, I wouldn't say niche, but aren't as high of value, don't have as crazy unique printing or whatever. Most of these characters are literally civilians in the Spider-Man mythos, right? They work for the Daily Bugle. Almost all of these characters do. Starting from right to left, on the right we have Gwen Stacy. She's probably one of the more popular characters out of the Spider-Man mythos. We obviously have seen her in the movies, especially in the Andrew Garfield, played by Emma Stone. She's pretty basic in this. She has like a little green jacket, blonde hair. She's double-sided face as well. If you turn her around, you can see there's not a whole lot else going on back there. If you take off the headpiece, hairpiece, there's a double-sided face, kind of, if you want, I guess, an extra emotion. Almost all of these characters do have a double-sided head, so that's really nice. But no leg printing, no arm printing, very basic. But Gwen Stacy is very important to the Spider-Man mythos, so it's good that they included her. Next up, we have Robbie Robertson. Now, Robbie Robertson is, I can't remember his exact lineage in the Daily Bugle, but he's like, I think, second in command, only to J. Jonah Jameson, right? He's usually the guy talking in J. Jonah Jameson's ear.
Who are you? You hired him last week. Freelance.
So he's also kind of important to the Daily Bugle and the Spider-Man mythos. Same thing, very basic. He's got like a sweater vest on. Just no print on the legs or the arms. So very, very basic printing. Get the hairpiece, same thing. If you take it off, turn it around, you can see double-sided head, but no extra printing or anything like that. So very, very basic. But again, if you're going to make a Daily Bugle set, you better have quite a few of the Daily Bugle characters. And Robbie Robertson is one of those kind of important characters. Then you have Amber Grant, also kind of important to the Spider-Man mythos. She's actually probably one of the more unique characters on this lineup. She has like the print of like the bag carrier across her chest right there. The leg printing, arm printing, there's nothing there, but the hair piece is unique. It's a hat with like the ponytail in it, so it's a kind of a special, unique mold. But if you turn it around, you can see there's a little bit of additional printing with the bag that she's carrying for the mail or newspaper or whatever, and then additional head printing as well. So out of the lineup for the Daily Bugle characters, she's probably got some of the more unique printing. And I know not all these characters are from, the Daily Bugle, like Gwen Stacy, Bernie the cab driver, but most of these characters are some sense Daily Bugle characters or employees. So that's why I kind of put them all together. Then we have next Ron Barney. another reporter, I think. I don't remember, journalist, whatever, one of those two for the Daily Bugle. He's had a lot of cool pieces and I guess just lore from the Daily Bugle and the Spider-Man mythos. But again, not a whole lot of printing. It's just kind of a name to the face. The hairpiece is one of the more basic hairpieces. I feel like this hairpiece is one that's been in a Lego manufacturer for a very, very long time. This is what they used, I feel like, for Han Solo and Luke Skywalker for Star Wars characters back in the 90s. But overall, the minifigure, same thing like the rest. Turn it around. There's not a whole lot else going back here, but if you take out the hairpiece, some extra printing. Overall, you know, very basic, but again, Ron Barney's, I wouldn't say important to the Daily Bugle, but I keep emphasizing, if you're gonna make a Daily Bugle set, you better have as many Daily Bugle characters you can get. And then obviously the man myth himself, J. Jonah Jameson. He comes with like a little pen. He comes with the hairpiece that definitely matches him, kind of like the slick back hairpiece with like the chopped sides, the gray hair. I feel like there should be more gray and black blend, but that's kind of a nitpick. Overall, it looks pretty good. You guys got like that, you know, the vest suit kind of you usually see him wearing for the most part, with the arms kind of being exposed as he's wearing a vest. You turn him around, there's no printing on the back there, but you go ahead and take off the back. There is additional printing, but it's not an extra emotion because J. Jonah Jameson is always angry. So instead of it being like a happier or more calm face, it's him being webbed up by Spider-Man, because I'm sure Peter's just sick of J. Jonah Jameson's crap. So there is that man myth himself. Next up, we have Ben Urich. Now, Ben Urich is a character that I feel like is one of the characters from the Daily Bugle that went on beyond the Daily Bugle. He's done a lot of stuff with like Frontline. So like a lot of the events from Marvel in like the early 2000s would have like tie-ins that were from, you know, Frontline, which was like an inline in the universe reporting agency or whatever. And Ben Urich was one of the characters. Oh no, it wasn't Ben Urich. I can't remember. Anyway, Ben Urich is one of those characters that's important to those stories. He had a lot to do with Daredevil even. So he's another really important character from the Daily Bugle mythos. He's even in the Daredevil show, I'm not mistaken. I think the first season or two. I think it's the first season from the Netflix series. But there's not a lot of additional printing here. You can see he's wearing the suit, khakis with no printing. You turn him around, there's a little bit of additional printing on the back, just showing like crease for the suit. Take off the hairpiece, that has a little bit of additional printing. So again, another really cool journalist reporter from the Daily Bugle. I think the Daily Bugle lineup minifigures they got for this set, I think, is pretty good. I like it a lot, at least. Then we have Betty Brant. No, I don't think she's like necessarily a love interest for Spider-Man, but I feel like at some point she was. It's just been a while since I've caught up with that long ago Spider-Man mythos. She definitely had her crush on him for a while. Anyways, she's like the secretary for J. Jonah Jameson. You've seen her in the early Tobey Maguire movies. I don't know, I think that was Gwen Stacy. Anyways, point being is she's part of the Daily Bugle mythos. She's there. You see her plenty of times in the office. Usually when Peter's about to go see J. Jonah Jameson, she usually has a quip to offer Peter before he goes in. So pretty cool. Very basic printing, pink blouse kind of a thing. Leg printing, there's nothing there. It's just the white legs. If you take off the hairpiece, you can see some additional head printing as well. She doesn't come with the pen. It's just there was two of them for J. Jonah Jameson, so I just gave it to her. So that's why she has holding it. And then lastly, not part of the Daily Bugle mythos, but still cool inclusion, we have Bernie the cab driver. Now this set does come with a taxi cab, so they gave a character specifically designated for it. I don't know if Bernie the cab driver is actually part of the Spider-Man mythos. I could probably look it up and find it out, put it on the screen for you. But either way, it's cool. You know, I like just getting names for the face in general. And yeah, it's a cab driver. I think fits what you would expect from a cab driver. He doesn't have any additional printing on the back of the head or the back of the torso. So what you see in the front is exactly what you get. He's got that kind of New York style. I don't even know what that kind of hat is called, but very New York style kind of cab driver. What you would expect to see from a cab driver in New York, at least. So you go. This is mostly the civilians. There's obviously 2 or 3 other ones that we'll put on, but those ones are a little bit more special, unique, have extra props or whatever. These are all pretty much have nothing else besides what you see. Next up, we have Grandma, or Aunt May. Just kidding, Aunt May. Obviously, this had to be included in the Spider-Man mythos set. Very, very basic though. Not a lot of additional printing on the torso, but she does come with like cookies and stuff, which I think is just sweet. I mean, Aunt May is always doing sweet gestures for Peter in the comics, so it's cool that they had her have a plate of cookies, an additional cookie in hand. Overall, very, very cool, sweet. And then if you turn her around, she has additional printing on the back of the head, kind of worried, probably worried for Peter's sanity at this point. Very cool minifigure, Aunt May. I don't know if we have a lot of other sets in Lego of Aunt May, at least not from a comic standpoint. Maybe we have some sets that are from the MCU, but either way, a cool minifigure to have. I'm sure it's something that definitely was needed for the set. Then we have the guy himself, Peter Parker. I almost gave his secret identity away. He comes with like a little satchel, little bag, probably for his camera, for his Spidey suit, all that kind of stuff. Very, very cool. Otherwise he just has, it looks like a Letterman jacket kind of a style. I don't know if this is when he's still in high school or whatever, but very basic kind of Peter Parker style. Wearing jeans, but there's not a lot of additional printing for him in general. You can see if you take off his head though, or hair, sorry, I keep saying that. Additional printing there on the back, more of an angsty, anguished face there. Some additional printing on the back, just kind of showing like the cuffs and the creases for the jacket. But overall, very basic, print for Peter Parker. But, it's nice that they include like the little satchel bag thing, because I feel like I do see that with him often, because he usually does have to carry a bunch of extra stuff for his Daily Bugle job. So there you go, Peter Parker himself. Then we have the main character himself, Peter Spider-Man. Almost gave a secret identity away there. As you can see, the printing on this is splendid. The leg printing, torso printing, arm printing, all of it looks really good. Dual molded legs look fantastic. Overall, I think this Spider-Man looks really, really good. And I think it doesn't really give allegiance to any style of Spider-Man from movies, comics, because even in the comics, Spidey's had quite a few different suits. I think this just gives an overall pretty good sense of the classic Spider-Man costume, that I think just blends it all well together with like the different, spider webbing, texture, appearance, and just like the coloring. All of it looks really good. Even the eyes, I think it just looks like what a classic Spider-Man should look like with really great printing. Overall, I think the front with the torso, the legs, the arms look really, really good. Turn it around, it's what you'd expect from the back of Spider-Man. Overall, basic printing. Again, I think this Spider-Man is great. A great Spider-Man. Then he obviously comes with the long white rope kind of piece with like the little hand pieces on the sides of it. So it's kind of like a webbing attachment. So you can like place it on any stud, and then you can have Spidey kind of attached to it at any point on it. So that's cool. You got that kind of webbing symbolism there for him as well. Then we have Spider Bacon, otherwise known as Spider Ham. Pretty cool. I mean, I feel like this one was just for the memes. I mean, Spider Ham is a cool character, but he's not really like an important character to the Spider-Man mythos. He's kind of a more niche character. He's gotten more prevalence in the last 5-10 years because of the Into the Spider-Verse movies. But I think at the time when this set came out, those movies were very popular, so it kind of makes sense why he's included. But overall, a pretty cool Spider-Man, Spider-Ham figure. Comes with that obviously very unique molded head. I think they smashed that out of the park. I think this is something you probably don't want to leave kids to play with, because I can just already imagine these kind of earpieces are going to be easy to snap right off. But if you're buying a $350 set, I doubt you're letting kids just play with it often. Anyways, the printing on the legs and arms I don't think there's very much there, but the torso printing is what you kind of expect. Overall, I think he looks just fine. If you turn him around, you can see there's a little bit of back printing there to show off the other side of the spider logo. Overall, fun little, unique Spider-Ham minifigure that, unless we got, into the Spider-Verse movie sets more than we've already gotten, I don't think we'd be seeing this minifigure any other time. So cool minifigure to get. And then I put these two together because they're almost identical. Spider-Gwen, right? Or Ghost Spider. She's had quite a few different names over the years, but we all know what she's from. An alternate universe Spider-Man, Gwen Stacy, and then Miles Morales. Also like the Ultimate Universe Spider-Man. So 2 other very cool, Spider characters to get. It's very kind of obvious from some of these selection of characters that when this set came out, Into the Spider-Verse was pretty popular at the time. So you can tell with these selection of minifigures for sure. But for what we get, I think they're pretty good. They both have like the hood piece. Underneath the hood piece on the back, there's nothing. So what you see is kind of what it is. The Miles Morales character has a little bit more detail on him. The legs that are dual molded legs, which I think works pretty good. Otherwise, both of the characters don't have any arm printing. The front for the printing is kind of basic. If you turn it around, though, you can see there's some additional printing as well. Overall, these minifigures I think are a really cool inclusion. Again, I think we've both gotten newer versions of these characters in years past, because now we have the Across the Spider-Verse movie, so we've gotten a couple of sets from that. I think just recently I actually even bought a couple. We got some of the CMF characters for Across the Spider-Verse, and so they have updated versions of those minifigures in there as well. So we've gotten updated versions of these minifigures, but at the time these were very unique niche characters and cool to get at the time. So very cool. And then they both come with like this webbing attachment. It's just a bunch of like webbing textured kind of pieces put together. You have like a little transparent piece at the end with a handle on it, so you can put it in their hand and it looks like they're spewing out web. It's very long and obnoxious, but it's just an extra attachment that they can have, so cool. Then we have Batman's arch nemesis Black Cat, Peter Parker, or Spider-Man's, I think, side piece is the best way to explain it. Felicia Hardy, Black Cat, one of the coolest characters. She's kind of, one of those hidden gems from the Spider-Man mythos. So it's very cool that they included her. She comes with like a little bit of I think it's supposed to be like a whip. I don't know exactly what it's supposed to be. Then they also give her a gem. Like she's kind of like not Black Cat. She's kind of like Catwoman from DC universe, where she does kind of play like an anti-hero kind of character, where she does help the good guys, but it's always only for her best interest. She's always looking out for her first. So it's kind of cool that they included that as well. Overall, I think the printing on this is very basic, but she comes with this really beautiful leg pieces, the dual molded legs. I think if you had done just black or just white, it would have looked bad. I think this is one of the few characters that absolutely needed those dual molded legs to fit the overall aesthetic of the character, and it works perfectly. Otherwise, the rest of the printing on this is very basic, but I think that works. I think it works just fine. If you turn it around, you can see on the back here, there's not a whole lot of additional printing. If you take off the hair piece, there's additional printing for her as well. So overall, a very cool minifigure to get. I don't even know if they've done a Black Cat in recent years. She's very niche to the Spider-Man mythos. I mean, she's not even in a lot of Spider-Man comics. She's in a couple of them recently, but like since then, it's been a while. Very cool to get. Then we have Daredevil, Matt Murdock himself. Very cool to get. Outside looking in, if you only are a fan of the MCU, you might not really understand why he would be put in this set. But a lot of those, heroes to hire kind of characters, Luke Cage, Iron Fist, Daredevil, Punisher, Blade, like those street level characters in New York, all of them have huge attachments with Spider-Man. They intertwine in a lot of each other's stories multiple times, so it's very fitting that they have a couple of those characters in here, one of them being obviously Daredevil. This Daredevil looks very good, and it's very obviously a comics variation, not an MCU variation, and I think that works just fine. Very red, as you can see, works just fine. The printing on the front, got the double D's, looks really good. There's not a lot of extra detail you're missing though in the back, so I'm not even going to turn it around. The head is red all the way around. He's blind, so I would doubt he has any other emotion than the one that you're seeing anyways. So very cool. He obviously comes with baton sticks as well. Again, great Daredevil, great inclusion as well. Then we have Punisher, Frank Castle, another one of those street level characters that have plenty of run-ins with Spider-Man. I mean, I think it's even pertinent now with the upcoming Spider-Man brand new day movie on the way. Punisher is already seen on the set photos that's been leaked out. He's going to be part of it, and that's a pretty big indication. Yeah, Punisher's been a lot of the Spider-Man mythos, so it's cool that they include him here as well. I think one of my favorite Punisher Spider-Man moments is in the Civil War when Punisher retrieves Spider-Man after Spidey turns from Iron Man's side to Cap's side, and it just shows that, you know, Punisher and Spider-Man have had their differences in the past, but Punisher does look out for Spider-Man's back, so that's really cool. He comes with these really cool weapons. Obviously, the one of them is just a plain molded one, but the one on the left is like this kind of custom built one, and I think it looks really, really cool. The legs are obviously dual molded. Those look absolutely fantastic. Very comic classic looking, right? In the movies and the shows that we've seen of Punisher, it's more rugged, more like, you know, mercenary style, whereas this looks more like his classic comic costume, and I think it looks fantastic. He's got the kind of bandage on his face, as you can see, but if you go ahead and turn him around, take off the hair piece, you can see he's got additional printing there on the back. Overall, this Punisher character I think is fantastic, and I don't really know when we would ever get like a classic comic costume Punisher. So I think this Frank Castle looks fantastic, and that giant skull on the front for Punisher's logo also looks fantastic. Overall, I think this is one of my favorite characters to come out of this set. Next up, we have Blade. Now, Blade is, again, one of those kind of characters that have had plenty of run-ins with Spider-Man in the mythos. They've got some villains that kind of work against both of these characters, so sometimes they work together. Blade's one of those characters that's kind of niche to Spider-Man mythos, because Blade really only works with like the supernatural vampire kind of side of things, and that's not really always Spider-Man's forte, but he does have some villains like Morbius that kind of cross paths. So it's cool that they included Blade. He's got obviously the dope swords that go in the back, so he has a little holder that you can see there that you can put both on the back. That looks fantastic. The printing on the front is kind of like that mercenary style I was talking about with Punisher, with the jacket and like body armor. Looks really, really good. Otherwise, there's not a whole lot of additional printing. The back of his head doesn't have any additional printing. I'm not going to show that off. It's just the blade holder on the bag, so you can't even see the back printing anyways. So what you see in the front is kind of all you see in general, but I think it looks really, really fantastic. Next up, we have Firestar. I think she goes by Angelica Jones. She's more of a niche one. We haven't really seen anything from her in the MCU, but she's more of a character that kind of crossover in many different paths. She's not really even exclusive to Spider-Man. So kind of a pretty cool character just to get included, but she has had plenty of, you know, crossovers with Spider-Man. I believe she's a mutant, so there's some background if you want. She's a character that hasn't really been seen in a while in comics. She's more from like the 90s and 80s. She was very popular from the 90s Spider-Man series. That's probably why they included her in here, kind of for like those nostalgic feelings. Obviously a very cool character, all yellow. There's not a lot of printing on the back or the front, but it looks really good. She comes with like those fire handpiece attachments, so you can give like fire effect. And if you go ahead and turn her around, take off the hair piece, you can see she's got some additional printing for that mask, some additional, I guess, emotion to add if you wanted to change it up. Overall, another one of those characters that's very niche, but like, you know, they didn't need to include her, but because she was kind of popular from that 90s Spider-Man series, it seems fitting that they did. Overall, cool character to have. Next up, we have Venom. Now, this is obviously going to be probably the Eddie Brock variation, but the set doesn't really give an indication who it is for sure. And Venom has had multiple different partners, so we're going to assume it's Eddie Brock Venom. I wish we could have gotten like an Eddie Brock headpiece to change it up. Either way, it looks really good. A very classic looking Venom. He has all of these crazy tentacle pieces attached. I'm too lazy to take it all apart to show you the back, but there's really not a lot to show off. It's just kind of the classic Venom back of the suit, which you'd see for the logo. Otherwise, it's all black with that giant Venom logo on the front. It's got the crazy symbiote head on top, all these attachments with like these symbiote, like, I don't even know, attachments, I guess is the best word. overall, very, very cool. It's very fitting that they include him because Eddie Brock obviously has plenty of ties to Spider-Man and the Daily Bugle, and it's cool that they included Venom as well. Next up, we have Carnage, very similar to the Venom. Got all these crazy red attachments for the symbiote, so I'm not going to take it off and show you the back, but it's again kind of what you'd expect. Otherwise, it's all red with like the Carnage kind of texture and logo on the front there. It looks very, very good. You know, Carnage is another one of those characters that's kind of unique to the Spider-Man mythos, right? Some of these other characters can kind of cross over to different lanes. Carnage really hasn't been seen anywhere else besides Spider-Man, so it's cool that they included him here as well. Overall, looks really cool. I think, honestly, these attachments that they have for both of these symbiotes, Carnage and Venom, with these red and black attachments showing like the symbiote effect, are a little too much. They're very big and kind of clunky. But I get what Lego was trying to do, you know, show off like crazy Carnage or crazy Venom, just the symbiote exploding out of their back. The effect, I get what they're trying to do, but they're a little overbearing. That's one of the things I kind of find annoying with some of these minifigures. But that being said, I think both Venom and Carnage look great. Next up, we have Doc Ock, Dr. Octavius, a great Spider-Man villain to have included. Again, with these back attachments being very overbearing, these ones are not my favorite. The way they're built, they have no movement to them at all. So if you see the way they're built, they're just one piece. So they don't really have any like additional movement in the arms themselves. So you kind of have to build it the way you want it to look. Otherwise, it's not going to move much for you. But for the rest of the character, it looks just great. Kind of a classic Doc Ock with the green. Whereas newer Doc Ock variations had, you know, different kind of variations. This is more of like a in-between with the green. I was expecting maybe a lab coat to be included. It's not. Either way, he's got the goggles on the head. The hairpiece is very fitting. If you turn him around and you show off the headpiece in the back, he's got some additional printing as well. So there you can see another cool character to have, but again, these attachments on the back are a little too much. I think they could have done a little bit of a better job, especially with Doc Ock. I feel like the material they could have changed up, or the pieces or whatever, to make these attachments actually kind of like mechanical, make them move or whatever. Otherwise, I feel like it's just kind of gets in the way. Like you kind of have to set them where you want and just not move them, because otherwise they're kind of clunky. Either way, though, it looks pretty good. Next up, we have Mysterio. No, not the wrestler, the villain. Very cool, very basic though. There's not a lot to show off. I'm not going to turn him around because he's got a cape, and the printing is very, very basic. This is a very classic comic looking Mysterio. The headpiece with like the sphere on top looks really, really good. I like the effect it gives off. And then the rest of the printing for the torso legs is all green, right? Very green. There's not a lot to show off. He comes with like the kind of like gold chain that goes across the chest. He's I feel like what was it? Not a magician, but something like that, a special effects practitioner. So there wasn't a lot they could have really done to represent the rest of his comic kind of mythos. But for what you get here, I think it's cool. The purple cape is fitting, the green printing all looks good. Next up, we have the Green Goblin, Norman Osborn, a character that's, you know, probably if Joker is the other half of Batman, the Green Goblin is the other half of Spider-Man, right? So it's very fitting that they added him. The printing, the torso looks excellent. The leg printing looks excellent. Overall, this minifigure is done very, very well. It comes with like a little satchel piece because he has usually those goblin bombs. They didn't actually give any, unless I'm missing it, like it just didn't come in my set. He doesn't come with any like goblin bombs, which is weird because in the set you'll see he comes flying out on his hovercraft whatever thing, and it's like an explosion behind him. You'd think he'd have something to kind of represent that with like some goblin bombs, but he doesn't. So it's kind of weird, but anyways, the satchel looks good. The headpiece looks great. If you take it off, you can see it's kind of like one piece, the ears and like the hat, very elvish kind of looking. So that's very, very cool, unique. And if you turn him around, you can see he's got some additional printing back there for the head. Overall, this Green Goblin is very comic classic. I think it looks really, really good. The MCU has tried to do, well, not even just the MCU, but like movies in general. 20th Century Fox tried to do it. Sony tried to do it. Kind of like this very modern take on Green Goblin. this looks just like a classic Green Goblin. I think it looks really good. Next up, we have Sandman, the last character to go. With the minifigures, I put this as the last because he's kind of a two-parter. You can see right there, that's not actually legs. I don't know if you could tell or not. Those are pieces. So he kind of has a build included with him. So if you take it off, you can see even the other side of him is like an extra molded piece to kind of show he's half sand, half man. Then they gave him this giant build to go along with it as well. So that's kind of why I put him last, because it's going to transition us to the builds of the set. So he's half build, half minifigure. The minifigure itself with the super unique mold, I think looks excellent. The build itself is very clunky. I'm not really a fan of it, to be honest. I think you could have done without it, to be quite honest. But an extra piece like that is not going to, I don't think it's not warranted. I think it's fine to have. So overall, very, very cool. I'd much rather just the minifigure itself. That special molded, bottom half is so cool. Overall, I love this thing. I think it looks really, really good. The arm printing is very great. The torso printing is very great. There's nothing on the back. Don't worry about that. Overall, it looks really, really good. I like this minifigure a lot. All right, then we have two additional miniature builds. Obviously, I talked about the taxi earlier. It's a New York City, kind of build. Daily Bugle is set right in the middle of New York City. It's pretty cool that we got a taxi, a New York taxi cab. I almost wish we would have got that included in the Avengers Tower. It is what it is. I'm not too butthurt about it, but very, very cool inclusion. Very basic, but looks excellent. Got the license plate sticker there in the front, the headlights, the taxi on the side, taxi on top with the lights. You got the license plate on the front, or in the back, excuse me. You have the busted out light. I think that's a special cool inclusion. You have the brake lights on the back, and then underneath you have this little piece right here. I was like, what is that supposed to be? It's like, oh, that's supposed to be the muffler. And I think that's a really cool inclusion as well. If you go ahead, just take off the top. There's no doors or anything like this. The windows or whatever yes, we'll say windows. It's just one piece, so you take it off and you can go ahead and put your minifigure in there. I don't think it can fit two, but if you could, it's going to be jammed anyways. But this isn't really meant to be part of the set. It's more of a additional, just kind of fits the vibe in the set of the set. So very, very cool. And then we have, I don't even know, the Spider-Mobile. What this, I don't even know what this is. But it's probably, again, kind of more alluded to the animated series kind of a style. Again, this isn't really towards just the comics or the movies or the shows. This is kind of including everything. So, I'll say this is kind of fitting because there's plenty of times in some of those cheesy animated series we've seen the Spider-Mobile. So very cool. It has a little bit of a sticker on the front showing off the hood of it, but otherwise very, very basic. Can fit one person in there. It's got the wheels. There's not a whole lot going on with that thing. Very dinky, but nonetheless a cool inclusion, I'll say. All right, then we're gonna get to the main build. We're gonna do the outside, and then we're gonna work our way from the top to the bottom by module piece. Starting with the top, you can see we got the big Daily Bugle logo on the front. That looks excellent. I think that works really, really well. You got, like I had mentioned earlier, you got the Goblin hovercraft kind of flying out the front. I think that looks cool. I wish with this, and in the Avengers Tower, they had it too, where you kind of had this explosion out of the building. I wish you had kind of an additional option to not have that, just have it kind of all fixed up looking nicely. That I think would have been a nice accessory to have instead of let's say the Sandman additional piece, you know what I mean? I think that would have been nice, but either way, you have that. It's cool, got that effect, got Goblin attacking Spider-Man at his workplace. And then we can see here in the bottom, we've got the news sign kind of showing off the biggest news pieces going at the time. We've got the Vote for Osborne campaign for mayor. That's cool. Daily Bugle News. All of that looks really, really good. The front aesthetic looks really good. My only complaint would be I wish they would have an additional option for this. Because as you'll see, this is all these panels are able to pull right off. I'm not gonna do it right now because I don't have it pulled apart yet. But they can all pull apart or pull off. So I wish we'd have had the option to just put a new panel on that's all fixed and nice looking. For the front here, we have a newsstand. That looks excellent. I think it's very fitting for the Daily Bugle to have that right there. This like entry point here for the plaza looks really, really good with like the checkered pattern. The rose or flower bushes right there look really good. The fire hydrant looks really good. Now if we go ahead and switch it to the side, I'll show what that does eventually, but that's there for a reason. You have these boxes. That's part of the module part, so you can go ahead and attach it to another part of one of those other module sets, so it's all fitting. You know, it just looks like a New York streetway alleyway, so that looks really, really good. Then you go here to the back, and the back I think looks really good. I thought all the back pieces for the other module sets were really, really clean. You know, they could have just done nothing with them. They could have just made it all straightened out, not a lot of detail, but they all have something, and this doesn't really miss it with it either. You've got these doorways that look really good. They got this balcony piece here that is clean. I think that looks really, really sharp. Over both the doorways, you have these overhead lights that I think are just built in a way that looks very, very good. Then you have this like almost like billboard sign on the back here, which is just cool because New York, you know, I've been in New York City. It has a lot of just random billboards on buildings. You're like, why is that even there? People can't even see that half the time. And this is kind of fitting in that fact, in that way. So that's really cool. It's got that. Then you have both AC units here with like birds. You got a bird nest up there. All that looks really, really good. And then on top here, before I forget, you have like the antenna piece that I mentioned, the water tower piece. On the water tower, you have some graffiti. You've got Miles Morales. We know he's an artist. And then you have a Green Goblin graffiti on the side as well. So overall, the back aesthetic, I think, is, you know, it's not anything crazy, but for what it is, I think it looks really sharp. And then on the side here, this is probably the most lackluster part of the building. You've got like these red, you know, I don't even know what they're officially called, but if you've ever been to New York or even really any downtown, a lot of the bigger buildings have just like an outside ladder that you can climb out your window for, almost like a balcony, right, for apartment holders. And this is no different. No, these don't actually go down or anything. They're just quite literally for aesthetic. But it is very fitting for that New York style because a lot of those buildings do have that. So I think that looks really, really good. I think this one does pull down. You can see it's not really meant to because it already broke. But you can see it does pull down. So overall, I think this looks good. It doesn't really have much play function or feature, but it does kind of fit that New York style. So overall, the outside aesthetic of this set is really, really good. My only complaint is I wish this was a lot more cleaned up. Maybe, you know, I haven't really tried, but maybe you can take all the pieces apart and it's just enough pieces you can put it together. I don't know. But it wasn't intended that way, I don't think, at least. So I wish we would have had a different option. But everything besides that, I think looks really, really good. Just like well, kind of like both sets, but more like the Doctor Strange house, each piece kind of just slides right on top, right? So if you go ahead, I don't want to break anything, but you can see there's just these studs, right? So you just quite literally place it on and off. Each floor is like that. So that being said, you have that. Now you look at it, you're like, well, that's not very accessible. You're right. Each piece also has this, which is more like the Avengers Tower part, where you can slide that off and you can have access easily. So this first floor, I would say the top floor, is J. Jonah Jameson's office. I forget her name already. Betsy Brandt. Both of their offices right there, right? So you kind of have like the New York newspaper style. J. Jonah Jameson's got coffee, his computer, a stack of newspapers on his desk, his awards on the back there. Looks really, really good. And then Betsy Brandt's kind of is more like the entryway to his office. So it's right outside his glass doors, you can see right here. It's right next to the elevator, so anyone who's coming in to see Jonah Jameson has to see her first. She's got the computer right there on her desk, as you can see, and then on the top left, you've kind of got the monitor kind of showcasing the news at the time, right? So very, very kind of like a New York style newspaper office. You know, it's obviously only 2 rooms, but it kind of does give that aesthetic, and I think it looks really, really good. This is one of the more smaller rooms, so there's not a whole lot to go on besides that. There's not a lot of Easter eggs or anything like that in there besides like the newspaper. All the newspapers kind of have different titles, so I'm not going to explain them to you, but if you do look at them and stop and read them, they all have different, you know, titles, pictures on them, which I thought was really cool for Lego to include that. So if we go ahead and take that piece off next, we've got the next floor. Same thing, it just slides right off, got these studs on top holding it, and just like the one before, it slides right out. I really hope I don't break anything. There we go. So this is what I mean. I wish we would have gotten like an additional panel that had, not it bloated up is the best way to put it. But as you can see, it's got this aesthetic of like goblins thing coming out. It comes off pretty easily. As you can see, it's just a little hinge piece attached. So it's, like I said, maybe I can put it together in a way that doesn't have that. I wish it didn't. I wish we had just had the option, but either way, it looks fine. The next floor is Peter's office. It's kind of like in the back. There's cobwebs up here. There's a printer back here, boxes. There's a bookshelf kind of in the back here, as you can see, with a pizza box on top. There's newspapers kind of guarding that back door. There's an elevator back there as well. So it's kind of like the behind the boxes kind of office, which is for Peter, right? Now if you go to the other room, you can see there's a desk with a phone on it. There's a picture of Spider-Man. There's post-it notes on the wall there. So it's very obviously, this is Peter's office. This is where he gets shoved when he's got actual work to do at the Daily Bugle. So it looks really good. It does kind of give that aesthetic of the back of the boxes behind the shelf, kind of office style, which, in a busy New York newspaper building, you would expect a couple places like this in that building. So it looks really, really good. Same thing with this. If you go ahead, take it off top like that, you can see it just attaches right here to the studs, and very similar to the other ones, you go ahead and you just slide this piece out. So very, very modular. This one is probably, I think, the most graceful of the modular sets, which is funny because this is the first one to come out. So it's crazy that they haven't really been able to copy this exact effect, but I think the other ones work for what they are. That being said, this is more like the hub. You've got quite a few desks here. You've got like this centerpiece with all of these different newspapers and TVs going on. You've got all of these different newspapers on the walls, probably the different newspapers that have won awards or that have just been big headlines. You've got the water machine there in the back. You've got newspapers on the floor. You've got newspapers stacked on the desk. You've got computers at each seat. You've got coffee cups, coffee mugs. A lot going on here, but that's kind of, again, that New York paper, New York style. It's just very busy. They say New York is the city that never sleeps. This office gives that vibe. You've got drawers and cabinets over here as well. You got like a kind of a coffee table lunch style. You've got a plate full of donuts. You've got a coffee machine, you've got coffee cups. Again, I think this room is one of probably the best. There's not really a lot going on for like, play accessories, but like the vibe of it, the aesthetic of it fits that Daily Bugle New York style, New York paper style. And I think it looks really, really good. And you got the elevator there in the back as well. So if you go ahead, take this off, just like all the rest, you get finally to a little lobby. Now this one is unfortunately the only one that doesn't have the front taken off, and that's because it has that door there in the front. So you can see that wouldn't even really be possible. It has a little piece here on the balcony that I didn't mention earlier. That's if you wanted to put a minifigure there to kind of like have them jumping off. Very cool. Anyways, that being said, like I mentioned, this side piece does actually have a reason for being. It's because just quite literally, it gets taken out. And so you can actually kind of have some accessibility with taking that piece of the wall out and actually doing something with it. That being said, it's still kind of crammed. There's not a whole lot you can do. You can see my hand doesn't really get in there. So you kind of got to be careful with what you put in there because you're not going to get it out very likely anytime soon. Anyways, that being said, this is the lobby of the building. So it kind of has that, you got the front office style. You got the newspapers on the wall, kind of like the ones that won awards again, or the big, headlines. You got the giant TV monitor on the front showing off the newest, news headline. This one's got Morbius, which is pretty fitting with Boyd being in this set. You've got like this lounge style kind of seating for people waiting to go up to see Mr. J. Jonah Jameson. Again, more newspapers kind of out there on display. Those ones are probably ones that are just for grab. Those ones aren't like headliners or award winners or whatever. So again, this one just fits that vibe. Again, what I really enjoy about all of these is they all just fit that vibe of the New York style. Something I liked about this is it isn't just like a 2-hinge door. It's a sliding door, which is like, I think probably more popular and more used today than just hinged doors at this point. It's just the way technology works. So it's cool they included it. So it's got that style of just like an automatic door opening up, sliding open. So very, very cool. I forgot to mention that as well earlier. Very cool. And then one of the other Easter eggs here in the back is you can see there's some cobwebs right there. That's Spidey. He's got something held in there, and it's probably what I would say his Spider-Man suit or his backpack or whatever, right? So that's cool to be included there because we've seen a couple times Spider-Man's got to run to work or run from work to go play superhero. He's got to hide his stuff somewhere, right? So he's got his little stash right there on his side of work. So very, very cool. Overall, this build is got that style of the Daily Bugle, and I think that works really, really well. It kind of gives off the New York style, but it also gives the comic vibe. Overall, it looks really good. And as you can see, it comes apart really easily, which I really appreciate. The Avengers Tower isn't as easy. It's much bigger though, so it's it's not the same problem. And the Sanctum Sanctorum is very different the way it works, right? So what this set is for how big it is, I think it works so well. I'm a big fan of this set. All right, guys, and that brings us to the end, the conclusion of this set. We've done now 3 Lego Marvel module sets, and I've got to say I really, really enjoyed the Daily Bugle. For this being the first one out of the lineup so far, the first one that came out at least, I got to say this one is really, really good. I really like the way this building is built with like the module ability to pull off just not the top but also the front of it. I think it works really, really good. And I think my biggest gripe is probably again this front not being able to change it out. I think that should have had that option. But besides that, everything else about this set is really great. The minifigure lineup is fantastic. Like I said, I kind of prefer it when they just do a lineup of everything from the mythos of that character, not just from the MCU or just from the comics. I prefer everything, and I think it works better that way because it gives you more creative freedom. And I just think this set is such a creative, cool idea. The Daily Bugle isn't even really a super prominent thing from Marvel. Avengers Tower is, I would say, and the X-Men Mansion is, but like Sanctum Sanctorum, Daily Bugle, that kind of lets us know they have some real, I think, creative ability and freedom to see maybe like something like the Baxter Building or Oscorp Tower. Other cool ideas like that can be included, and I think the Daily Bugle allows that, just being itself. I love the minifigures lineup. A lot of cool pulls from the Spider-Man mythos. Everything about this set is fantastic. And for $350, this almost seems to be one of the fairest prices. This is the same, price as some sets in Lego Star Wars that you get like 2 or 3 minifigures out of. So like, just what you get out of this set is such a pack for punch. I love this set. I probably have to give this like a 9.5 out of 10. Almost perfect. It's worth every cent for sure. If you can find it at full price, I would pay. If you can find this at $400, I would almost say it's worth it as well. Like I said, it's going to be hard to find. It's retiring this year, so there's not a lot of time left to find it. If you can find it for $400 on eBay, I would say it's worth it, especially if you're a Marvel fan. But if you're just a Lego fan, this is a fantastic set. It's one of my favorite sets of all time, not even just from the Lego Marvel module lineup. Big fan. So with all that being said, let us know what you guys think down in the comments. If you guys like this set, if you guys like the review or not, let us know if we're missing anything. And yeah, with all that being said, don't forget to hit that like, don't forget to hit that subscribe, and we'll see you guys in the next one.